Which activities do you do today that you should probably delegate? Similarly, which activities does your department own that probably should be delegated? Hi, I'm Peter Nichol, Data Science CIO. Today, we're going to talk about MSPs or managed service providers. The concept behind a managed service provider is to take ownership of daily activities to allow your team to focus on more important strategic priorities. Concept sounds pretty simple. If you think about different things in your own personal life that you've delegated, maybe it's lawn care or cleaning a vacation property, you've decided that your time is better spent someplace else. You can add greater value doing a different type of activity. Similarly, when we think about our roles in our organizations, oftentimes we collect things over time. In the light of being a good corporate citizen or helping out other peers and partners. So maybe we own a little bit more security than we should own, or some risk or some compliance or different types of operation or tactical processes that most likely should live in other areas. When we think about managed service providers, we're trying to not just delegate back activities that don't add value, but more specifically transfer activities that can be more effectively done by a third party or by an expert. So it's important to start to think about which activities should you just not own that through being a good corporate citizen you've picked up or your department has picked up ownership of over the last 6, 9, 12, 18 months. Perform an assessment and start to realize what should you just not own? What do you need to give back or build a transition plan or knowledge transfer plan or KT plan to those original functions to say, hey, we picked this up in this interim piece while you had understaffing challenges. Now it's 6 months later, you need to take this back and build a plan to reabsorb this into your organization. When we focus on MSPs or managed service providers, we're really talking about focusing on areas that add value, but that are not core competencies. So when we think about what is the core competency of our business and what is the most important things for us to focus on? For example, if we're a healthcare provider, most likely marketing isn't our top priority. If we're a software company, probably billing isn't our top priority. If we're focused on architecture, maybe we're not. If we're an architecture company, we're probably not too focused on IT support and help desk. And those are good examples of leveraging a managed service provider to support operational or day-to-day activities that are important to keep your business running, but you do not consider core capabilities. So what are some of the benefits of managed service providers? First, you have the benefit of expertise. In theory, you're going to somebody who has deeper and broader expertise than your current team. Second is predictability, and more specifically, financial predictability. You'll get an idea of what the monthly, quarterly, annual costs are year over year, as opposed to trying to anticipate all the variance. Because they have that expertise, some of those ebbs and flows of demand and utilization will be more effectively mitigated. And third, you have the benefit of hopefully anticipating some of the unknowns. Because they have other clients and benefit other businesses and sectors, hopefully they'll be able to anticipate some of the needs of your area and in your business in early anticipation of something happening and being a bad effect. Maybe there's a market change or a shift in conditions or a licensing fee structure change, something that they can get ahead of and help you predict. So what are some areas that managed service providers are most likely to be effective? I'll pick 3, but in the article, I'll expand on several more examples. First is application third-party maintenance. And just by leveraging a managed service provider, typically you can offload some of those maintenance costs that if you don't have a high-performance team can be very expensive. Second is network and operations. A lot of times those functions operate effectively unless some type of additional capacity or additional need is introduced to that ecosystem. And third would be something along the lines of just help desk and help desk support, IT maintenance. So who do your users call or stakeholders call when their laptop doesn't work or they can't log in? A lot of those types of service calls are not strategic, but they're important to keep the business operations up and running. And lastly, how do you select a managed service provider effectively? I want to give a couple pieces of tips and insights around that topic. First, You got to focus on somebody who has domain expertise. It doesn't mean just in your vertical, but it does mean in what you're trying to do. If you're trying to outsource IT help desk, make sure somebody has deep experience in that area. Second is ask for references. We all know that these can be manufactured and made up and typically are, but it's still important to talk to somebody yourself who was a client of that managed service provider to get a better understanding of the service quality they provide. Third, focus on companies that anticipate, not react to business conditions, that are on top of it and changing their business models in early anticipation of something occurring, as opposed to just reacting and realizing, oh, geez, we have to respond to this new need. Fourth, start to focus on value over hours. Worry less about how many hours they charge and more about outcomes. And this leads us to number 5, which is use SLAs or OLAs or some type of or BLAs or performance measure to measure the output achieved. And lastly, look at the structure of the organization. How are they going to respond? If you have 20 people supporting you now and their best approach of a new strategic alignment is 3 full-time people, you're probably not going to get the same expectations and service levels that you're currently getting. And as a result, that arrangement might not be optimal. Hopefully I provided some ideas and different approaches on how to manage and how to get ahead of managed service providers and start to absorb them into your ecosystem to be able to provide more efficient and effective service to your stakeholders. Hi, I'm Peter Nichol, Data Science CIO. Have a great week.